Hello friends, welcome to Intellify. Today our topic is disease and its cause. This belongs to the chapter Why Do We Fall Ill, which is the subject of science, class 9th. What does disease look like? We know that there are many tissues in our body and these tissues combine together to make up our systems or organs that carry out different body functions. And each organ systems has specific organs as its parts and it has particular function, right? We know that each organ system is having different individual organs to perform different specific functions. Now I can give an example like musculoskeletal system, which is made up of bones as well as muscles, holds the body parts together and help the body move. So it's like in musculoskeletal system there is bones as well as there is muscles, and these both hold the body together and gives the body the voluntary action to be taking place. What happens when we have a disease? So when we have a disease, the functioning of one or more systems of the body will change for the worse. So it's like some organs or some systems in our body will not be functioning properly and there will be some changes in our body when we have a disease. Now these changes give rise to symptoms and signs of disease. Like when a body is experiencing a change or when a body organs and systems is not functioning properly, the body will give us some signs or symptoms. Symptoms of disease are the signs we feel as being wrong. Like we itself will feel like something is wrong with our body. Now examples of symptoms are like we'll feel headache, cough, wounded with pus, etc. So these are some of the symptoms where we feel like our body is not working or functioning properly. Now these symptoms indicate that there might be a disease, but they don't indicate what disease it is. So it's like we may feel like something is wrong with our body, like something is not actually looking good, but at the same time we don't know what exactly is wrong with us, like what disease are we having. For example, I can say a headache may mean just stress. So if you are stressing too much, we may have a chance to get headache. Or in very rare cases, I can say that the headache may mean meningitis. Meningitis is an inflammation of the meninges. Meninges are the three membranes that cover the brain. So in some rare cases, we can connect the headache to a disease like meningitis, and this happens very rarely. Or in any of the dozen different diseases. So it can be a sign of any other diseases too. When you go to a doctor or a medical examiner, the first thing that they will be asking you is the symptoms. Like they will be asking you like, is it paining here or did you feel nauseous? So they are looking for symptoms to identify what disease you are having. Symptoms are signs that will give a little more definite indication of the presence of a particular or any kind of specific disease. So it's like if we are telling our symptoms or signs, then they would be able to understand what disease are we having. So it's like an indication to one particular disease. Sometimes when we tell our symptoms and signs, they will tell us, that is the medical examiner or the doctor will tell us to get a lab test done. Now we are moving on to acute and chronic disease. Now the manifestation of disease will be different depending on a number of factors. So how a person gets infected or how a person catches up a disease will be depending on a number of different factors. Some diseases last only for a very short period of time. That is, some diseases are for short duration and those diseases are called acute diseases. Now example for acute disease is common cold. We know the common cold lasts only for a few days. For some people, in severe cases it may last for more than a week or so. Other ailments can last for a long time, that is for a longer duration of time, even as much as a lifetime. For some people, that particular disease will last for that person's lifetime, and these type of diseases are called chronic diseases. Example for chronic disease is the infection causing elephantiasis, which is very common in some parts of India. So the first picture is of the elephantiasis. That means the leg of that particular person will be swollen. Next, we'll see chronic disease and poor health. Acute and chronic diseases have effects on our health. So if we are infected with acute or if we are infected with chronic disease, it's going to affect our health also. Any disease that cause poor functioning of some part of the body will affect our health. So it's like poor functioning of our organs or our systems will affect our health. This is because all functions of the body are necessary for being healthy. All the organs and systems in our body has to function equally and properly for us to be healthy. Now we'll see the difference between acute and chronic disease. We can say that acute disease is over very soon, like it's for a short period of time, and it will not give time to cause major effects on general health. That means it will not be a long lasting disease, as well as it's not going to affect our health much. While a chronic disease will do the opposite of what acute disease does. That is, it will be in our body for a longer period of time, and it is going to affect our health also. Now, for example, we can think about a cold or a cough which we get commonly. Now, most of us gets better and become well within a week or so when we have a cold or a cough. And there is no lasting effect on our health. But imagine that if we are affected by tuberculosis or TB. Now, tuberculosis or TB is a contagious infection of lungs and spreads from an infected person to another when that person cough or sneezes. Then we will be ill over the years and we will lose our weight and we'll feel tired all the time. So it's like a lifetime disease that's going to affect our health as well as our body. Second diagram, you can see how the bacteria has affected the lungs of a person who is having tuberculosis, and this bacteria is having a name like mycobacteria. We may not go to work for a few days if we have acute disease. So once we are infected with acute disease, it's like we may take a rest for a short period of time. But on the other hand, if we are infected with a chronic disease, it will make it difficult for us to work as well as to do our daily chores. So it's like we will feel so tired, we will not be able to do our basic things that we do in our daily life. We are likely to have prolonged general poor health if we have a chronic disease. So if we have a chronic disease, then our health is going to be in poor state for a longer period of time. Now this chronic disease has a drastic long-term effects on people's health as compared to acute disease. We can say that chronic disease is severe than acute disease. We'll see causes of diseases, like what causes diseases. There are many levels of such causes or many reasons for diseases. It's just like we can't tell just one reason. There are many reasons to get a disease. For example, consider a baby is suffering from diarrhea or loose motion, like whatever you want to call it, and we can say that the cause of diarrhea is probably or can be an infection. So that's what we think first. So it can be because of infection. Another reason would be that this baby is not healthy. So we can say that this baby is in poor health. So that's the reason why the baby got diarrhea. It might be more likely to have diseases when exposed to risk because of poor health. In other way, we can say that the baby is not well nourished and does not get enough food. So the baby is having poor diet or the baby is not getting protein rich food. So that's the reason why this baby got infected with diarrhea. So we can say that lack of good nourishment becomes a second cause for the disease. So it's because the baby is not getting enough requirements for the body. So that's the reason why the baby got the disease. Now why the baby is lacking nourishment? We can ask this question, right? Maybe it is from a household which is poor. So there can be a chance like the baby is from a poor family. So it is not getting proper nourishment. It is also possible that the baby has some genetic difference that makes it more likely to suffer from diarrhea. So it's like when the baby is exposed to some of the infections, the baby gets it first because the baby is having some genetic difference. So genetic difference can be like it is having poor immunity, or it can be like when exposed to a pathogen, it may catch up the disease in a faster rate. So pathogens are microorganisms that causes diseases. Some people's body would be so weak that they get diseases in a faster rate than the other people. Without pathogen, the genetic difference or the poor nourishment alone would not lead to loose motion. So it's like the baby should be exposed to pathogen. Only when there is pathogen, the baby gets diarrhea. It's not like just because the baby is having genetic difference and poor nourishment, it is having diarrhea or loose motion. It's like it has been exposed to a pathogen. They do become contributory causes of the disease. So the main or the secondary factors which cause the baby a diarrhea is the pathogen. The cause would be poverty or lack of public service because the baby might have consumed unclean water, and that's the reason why it got diarrhea. So we can say in this way also, this can also be a reason. So it was a responsibility of the public service people to provide clean drinking water to the people. Now we know that all the diseases will have an immediate cause and a contributory cause. Immediate cause means organisms that enter our body and cause diseases within a short period of time. So it's like a virus, bacteria and so on. Now contributory cause means contributory cause are the secondary factors which led to the organism to enter our body. So it's like contributory causes or factors are actually finding a way to enter the organism's body. So it's like they have many causes than one. So it's like diseases are having many more causes and reasons for a person to get infected. Now we'll see infectious and non-infectious diseases. When we think about diseases, it is important to think about public and community health factors in our mind. So it's like it's not about our own personal health. We have to think about the people around us as well as about the public health. Now there are two types of causes. Now the first one is infectious agents that are mostly microbes or microorganisms. So those are the first infectious agents, and the disease where microbes or microorganisms are the immediate causes are called infectious diseases. So that is the definition for infectious disease. We may think like why this is happening or why we are getting infected. So the reason for that is because these microbes or microorganisms can spread in the community, and the diseases they cause will spread along with them. So it's like it's a communicable disease. So it's spread from one person to another, and the chance of disease getting infected is very high. Examples for infectious disease are SARS, that is SARS, influenza, common cold, TB or tuberculosis, and hepatitis A and B. There are much more. These are the few examples of infectious diseases. On the other hand, there are diseases that are not caused by infectious agent, okay, and their cause keeps on changing, but they are not external causes. So it's like the non-infectious disease are having internal causes. Now, external causes, as I said, those are microbes or microorganisms that spread from one person to another. Now, when it comes to internal cause, it has something to do with your own body. For example, I can say that some cancers, not all cancers, some cancers. Now, cancers are actually cells which divide uncontrollably, and this cell spreads into the surrounding tissues or surrounding cells. Now, these some specific cancers caused by genetic abnormalities are some of the examples for non-infectious diseases. And another example that I can give is high blood pressure that can be caused by excessive weight or lack of exercise. So all these examples has to do something with your own internal body, and it has nothing to do with the external factors. The ways in which diseases spread and the ways in which they can be treated and prevented at the community level would be different for different diseases. So it's like different diseases are having different mode of prevention and controlment, and this depends a lot on whether the causes are infectious or non-infectious. So first we have to find out whether a disease is infectious or non-infectious, and depending on that the control measurement would be taken. Thank you.